Common values, common goals, common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 20 of Common Sense with Semi Bird. I have a special guest, my lovely bride, Ann Bird. And honey, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
That's it. See, Ann is not comfortable with crowds. And although none of you are in the studio with us today, still, I'm thankful that she's here with us. And she's here for us, here for me, and here for you. So be nice to my wife. You know, I am a Papa Bear, so don't go there. But welcome, everybody. And as always, thank you so much, all of our supporters, all of you tuning in. Thank you for giving us an opportunity, giving me an opportunity to serve, giving me an opportunity to apply for this position, for this job to serve you as governor for Washington State, for all of our citizens of this great state of Washington. This is something that is important to me. It's a calling. It's an opportunity for leadership, servant leadership. And we'll talk a little bit about that as you ask your questions. We have questions here that were written and submitted in advance. We have questions that I'll look to my screen. Hello, we have one of my dear supporters and friends. Thank you. Love back at you, and thanks for tuning in. Gosh, what do we say? We want to get right to the questions and answers. But I want to start with a phone call that I received today. The call came in from Jim Brunner, who is a reporter with the Seattle Times. And it was a great call. I know what you're thinking, probably what most people are thinking. You received a phone call from the Seattle Times. You're conservative, Republican, and yeah, because he asked straightforward questions. I gave him straightforward answers. I was honest with him, and I'm going to give him the grace to trust that he will report accordingly. Doesn't always work out that way, not necessarily with Jim or with the media, but nonetheless, I loved the conversation and what Jim did, because as many of you understand, this is politics. And as I've said many times, politics should never excuse bad behavior, character assassination, vilification of anyone. It's civility, human decency should never be covered up under the guise of politics, but nonetheless, it happens. And again, I get it. I said it before, it's not personal, but it can be hurtful at times, specifically for families, loved ones, even in supporters. And it comes from both sides. And I've never tolerated it, even from my supporters who perpetrated on other candidates. I've never tolerated it, and I've asked for it to stop. I believe I'm probably the only one who's done that. So once again, don't do it. Be civil, be respectful, be responsible, be adult. But Jim, as he was going through all the different allegations, all the different social media posts, acknowledged that one of the main benefactors or donors to the Washington State Republican Party, to Republican candidates, has sought forth to finance a website that's basically a website that has been set up to vilify, ridicule, character assassinate me, ruin my life, essentially, which it's not possible because my life is defined by my faith and my family, much of which is right here next to me. And then my 3 daughters, 1 upstairs and 2 living their best life in another state. But nonetheless, this is, I guess, in their way, politics, because I dare to run as a citizen to serve without that name brand recognition, that political elite support package that comes with that, I guess, elite candidate. But to me, that's the problem. Are we not a nation of the people, by the people, for the people? Which means that we, the people, any of us, should be eligible to run for an office to serve us, of the people. And then through our election process, free and fair, without election interference, be chosen by the people and then serve for the people. It was my understanding this was constitutional, although those words came from Abraham Lincoln, nonetheless, it qualifies what our nation stands for, what our constitutional values are. But I was not the chosen one. I was not the one that was selected by the political elite and the wealthy elite. I was called, I believe, for much higher than most can understand. And here I am to serve nonetheless. So they will, again, attack. So Jim asked me a lot about these attacks. He says, Semi, I understand in 1993 there you had a misdemeanor, and people are calling it bank larceny, and then we looked into it, and it looks like you used your father's credit to get a credit line. And I said, Jim, that's true. And that is absolutely true. Guilty, misdemeanor, guilty as charged. And he says, those were not good years for you. This is me summarizing. And he says, no, those were dark years for me. Those were 6 years of me being terribly irresponsible. Now, granted, this is 30-something years ago, but nonetheless, this is now the main focus. 6 years of my life. I'll have to nickname them the dark times of Semi Bird, but I didn't equivocate. I took full ownership and acknowledged it. And he said, okay. And then we went on to a couple other things. I mean, I was told that, the state was told, Semi Bird is a deadbeat dad who abandoned his children. And then he was surprised to learn that, our two oldest, and our two oldest are my two oldest daughters, are from my first love, of which my one true love knows very well, and they consider themselves friends, or they care for one another. And my first love is the mother of my two oldest children, my two oldest daughters, who are born from love. And then God granted me my one true love, which is sitting right next to me, Anne, who will be with me for the rest of my life, and a light in my life. And he was surprised to know that, yes, periodically my daughters have lived with us. And from their birth, I have supported them. But when someone goes on state aid, automatically, if you're not with that person anymore, it's half, and then it goes back to the beginning. And that's what happens, and that's what happened. And then I paid that because they automatically put a lien. And I can go on and on and on. And I'm not here to justify my life or my past, but just to say there's more to a story than a half-truth or a life by omission. But when you tell a person you abandon your children when they're the most precious thing to a person, and that's not nice. And I think Jim understood that, and he did not press it. Because again, no matter what people will say, well, he's a left this or that. No, he's a man, and I think a good man. And he also asked a wonderful question, which I called my wife immediately because it honestly, I'll say it brought me to tears. He said, Semi, those were approximately 6 years. It looks like from 91 to 96 or 7, where you had financial problems and declared bankruptcy, which I acknowledge. Yes, it's out there, and we know that. And he said, I don't have a problem with that. That's, over 30 years ago. He says, but outside of that period of time, after that, everything changed, apparently. There was nothing. So from 97 on, there's nothing. I have to ask, what happened? And then I got very emotional, and I called my wife, and I told her that, and I think she probably got emotional on the phone too. I said, well, it was my wife. I met my wife, and she changed my life. She is a gift from God, and everything for me changed. And then he says, yeah, and then you went into the military. And I said, yes, I went into the military. They recognized my honorable discharge from the Marine Corps, even though those would shame me for my previous military service of 40 years ago. And they gave me a chance too to serve. And he says, no, I know. I pulled your records from the military archives, and I verified every one of your medals. And yes, acknowledged valor, heroism, Purple Heart, Bronze Star Valors, and commendations, many, and achievement medals. So no need to go further. I wanted to share this because even from Jim Bruner of the Seattle Times, there were moments there where it was just civility and human decency and acknowledgement that we don't hold people down, hold people back, and brand them unworthy for the rest of their life because of dark times that they had in their life. And I explained to Jim, this is what my candidacy represents. Those who have been addicted, those who have served time, and I haven't, just for the record, those who have found themselves in their dark times or their dark periods of their lives. I love them, I support them, I am them, and I will represent them as their governor, as well as everyone else in this state. And we had a lot more to say in that conversation, and I'm sure he'll print it. And it had a lot to do about what it is to be a Republican and what I've discovered about being a Republican in Washington State. As a constitutional Christian conservative, my values have not changed. My positions have not changed. But where I will end up in terms of partisanship, that most certainly will change. And he was surprised to hear it. And we'll see where that goes and where I go from here. But my friends, we have a lot to learn as a people and as a nation and as a state. We need to default back again to what is right, what is wrong. We have a Democrat state representative, I think her name is Tara Simmons. I may not agree with Representative Simmons' politics, perhaps, on all things, but she's a prime example of someone who has found herself in dark times, unlike many others. Convicted felon, convict, if you will, which are strong words. I don't even like saying those things. So I'm not going to restate those things. And what I'm going to say is, this is someone, regardless of your politics, that you can respect, because from addiction, from crime, to lawyer, to receiving her Juris Doctorate, to serving her state, being elected again and elected. Why would we not lift someone like that up and say, can we not see more people coming out of our system, coming off of our streets? Would we not see this person as a role model? Okay, I'll stop there because I get preachy. I'm going to ask my wife a question, and then I'm going to get into questions here. And hello, my friends tuning in. So we have a chat box here. We're live. We're streaming live. These questions just came in. We printed it. We brought them down. We haven't gone through all the questions, so we don't know. This is going to be all a surprise today. But I want to ask the first question. I never get to do this, and I'm going to ask it to my wife. So, honey, this is kind of I'll try to be nice because she doesn't like doing these things. She's never done this before.
Yeah, be nice.
Quickly summarize, since I asked for your, I'm not going to say permission, for your endorsement, what is this like for you? I mean, anything you want to say, honey, but it's up to you. What is this like for you?
Well, it's interesting, to say the least. Well, I'll put it to you this way. You were in the military, and people would say, oh my gosh, how can you be so away from him and scared, and is he going to come back and all this stuff? And I was like, well, you know what? I know Semi. I know the man he is. I know the character he has. I know what I worry about when he was in the military was the people that were around him. I knew the character of that man. I knew the honor, the integrity that he had, and he was going to come back to me no matter what. That was easier than this, by far. Because I think he knew who the enemy was. I knew who the enemy was, even though I wasn't on the field with him. But you don't know who the enemy is here sometimes. And that is scary. So we take it a day at a time. We're strong. We're in this together. And he is a man of character. He is a man of integrity. And his word is his word.
I shouldn't have asked you a question. So I'm the crybaby of the family. And when you invite the most precious next to your children, and you hear her talk about you like this, well, what do you get? Okay, I'm going to stop. Oh, okay. Look at us. Okay. Yeah. Let's do a podcast, invite your wife, and then cry like a baby in front of everybody in the state. Thank you, baby. I love you. Okay. So this one comes from Bob. And there's no Kleenexes down here either.
I know. Sorry.
I know. I wasn't thinking about that. I should have known better. Don't judge me for my decision making because I was not prepared for this causality. So Bob says and asks, what are your thoughts on recruiting PCOs? So PCOs are precinct committee officers. Although this question is not necessarily relevant to the role of governor, I will answer it. Precinct committee officers and captains serve a very vital role in communities. They act as the representatives of the citizens of their neighborhoods, of where they live, and I think it's important. And so my thoughts are, I support precinct committee officers. I serve as the chairman of the Benton County Republican Party for now. I will be resigning my chairmanship relatively soon. And I will be resigning other positions within the Republican Party relatively soon. But I've always said our PCOs are at the top of the chain of command, not me as a chair. The chair in the executive body serves at the will of the central committee, which is the precinct committee officers and those captains. That is the chain of command because they are there representing the citizens. It's constitutional. It's self-governance. Self-governance is the only way to maintain and to protect a constitutional republic. So, Bob, my response to you is, if you're a PCO, I honor you. I'm a precinct committee officer. I honor you. I support you. And as your next governor, I will praise you and support you and all PCOs, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, because you're out there and you're self-governing, you're serving your community, and you're representing our citizens. And that is the role of government, to protect the rights, the constitutional rights of citizens, and to represent them. So there's that. Lisa says, how do you plan to change or continue Medicaid within the state? So Medicaid in Washington state is known as Apple Health or Apple Care. And I am not a fan, but we have over 2 million citizens, and it serves a purpose. There are those who will find themselves in dire situations, impoverished, single moms, and this is ran through the Department of Social and Health Services, single families, single parents, all kinds of situations, the disabled, and so there's an element that I completely support, but my hesitation, and there's no hesitation in supporting the program, I'm not going to cut it. But my goal is to get people off of it who we can rehabilitate in getting into good paying jobs so that they don't need it. And I hope that makes sense. I believe in supporting our citizens who cannot support themselves. Not socialized health is not what I'm saying. But if you're a person with disabilities, if you're a person who finds themselves in a situation and they need help, well, then I think let's give them that help. And so I'm going to bring programs by the way of good paying jobs, training programs, and let's raise people out of poverty and despair. Let's bring those programs to lift our citizens into a new income class and out of poverty and generational poverty. And let's close that wealth gap. That is something that I plan on doing as governor of Washington State. And so I hope I answered your question. If you want more detail, well then resubmit, and I will. I'll answer it again. I'm trying to get through a lot of these questions because I did spend some time, and I do have my bride with me. And honey, I do appreciate you being here. I really do, babe. So we'll go Rebecca one more, then we'll go over here to questions. And guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up and answer questions as I see them, and hopefully I don't miss any. Rebecca says, what is your plan to address the state workers who were fired for being unable to receive the COVID vaccine? And I don't think the word is unable. Not Rebecca, and not to put words, because you did say unable, or however we wrote this. This is what I have. I'll say those who chose not to get the vaccine. So my statement is they will be rehired with full reinstatement, full seniority, and benefits as if they never left. That is my position on it, because I did not support the mandates. I did not support the mandatory vaccinations, especially when the pharmaceutical companies were able to profit and make billions and billions of dollars when the vaccinations were not approved by the FDA, but yet they were given a waiver of liability. But the citizens weren't, and it was made mandatory and contingent for their employment. In fact, that was the beginning of the decimation of our ferry system in Washington State, which at one point in time was one of the greatest. You know, Washington State ferry system is the largest in the nation, and it was the best in the nation. But we found ourselves in a human resource problem, and that's where it started. When we started laying people off who chose not to receive that mandatory vaccination. So we're going to go over here as promised, and I'm going to scroll up and see if I have any questions. Again, it's good to see everyone. And thank you. Someone said such a beautiful couple. Thank you very much. How do we meet? That is a question. And so we met blind date. I'm going to be very quick. And go ahead, honey.
I'll say mutual friends.
Okay. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. So blind date, it was through a mutual friend. Yeah. I was working as a finance manager within an organization, and my friend Corey had a wife, and I think at the time, was she in the school district?
Yeah,
or
she was a teacher.
So she was a teacher in the school district. She's now a superintendent. We're not going to say where.
Right.
Wonderful couple. And so I was a finance manager and worked in town. She was in cosmetology, but she is by choice. She's a pharmacy tech by occupation. Honey, correct me if I'm wrong on anything.
No, you're doing good.
So he asked me if I would be interested, and I said yes. And I'm going to say what you were asked. She said, "Have you ever gone out with a black guy before?" And Ann said, "Well, you say what you said, honey."
Yeah. Well, my friend, she said, "Well, I have a question for you. We have this guy, but we have a question. Have you ever thought about dating a black guy before?" And I said, "Well, no, I've never had an opportunity to, but heck, I mean, what's the least thing? We become friends, you know?" And so she's like, "Well, he's a really nice guy. He works with my husband. Let's all go out to dinner tonight." And so we did. And we have actually been together since that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What date was it?
Oh, hi. Oh, no. You don't bust me out like that on statewide live. But okay. 1997. It was June of 1997.
Yeah.
And we've been together ever since. So
That's good.
There's that. And I know our anniversary date also are when we were married too, babe.
Okay.
So you're not gonna see what she does.
You
Oh
passed.
my goodness. Thank you, sweetheart. And Chris, thank you very much for your kind statement. And so if I answer that question, that's it. And my brother, yes, we do need to hit the range soon for some range therapy. It is good seeing you, and love back at you. I'm just scrolling down. And so that's how we met. And the second date, just real quick, I've always loved cooking. My mother taught me how to cook. And, I'm a mama's boy still, even though she's with Christ and our Lord. And I wanted to be a chef. And so I went to learn culinary, and I did that as well. So we talked to her favorite dish, and she said, well, seafood fettuccine, Alfredo. And that's what I made her, and she loved it. And so, again, I think that helped a little bit maybe. And
I love food.
Yeah, we're both foodies. And so there's more to that story, but she tricked me. She had me cooking for the first half, I want to say, of our relationship. Desiree, it's so good seeing you, and I really appreciate you and your amazing family up there in Chelan County. Taylin, thank you, my friend. I'm looking for questions. Let me see. Can you please say what schools you went to in Seattle and what neighborhood? I went to, I graduated. I dropped out of Shorewood High School. But gosh, I want to say St. Luke's. Early on, you had to ask that question. So, and then also, there was a period of time in another early elementary. I'll get back to you on that. neighborhoods. So start from Central District, so from the CD to Ballard and to North Seattle, because we start off on welfare. So food stamps, welfare, Department of Social Health Services. And then my mom got a job because she did a social services program where she can go to school at night. And she did. And she learned secretarial admin and how to do shorthand. You young people would know nothing about that. And then she got a job with Boyne, which was in Everett. And so we were moving closer too, but it's what we could afford in terms of apartments. So we as she started working, so she wouldn't have to commute so long, we moved a little closer. So from the Central District, we moved to Ballard. And then as mom started making a little bit more money, we got off of state aid. And then it was my mom's income. She was a single mom. And then we moved to North Seattle. And then that's where I went to school there. And through a grant program and the kindness of a beautiful, blessed lady who had some wealth, she helped us, and I was fortunate to go to school at St. Luke's. This is where I met, I'm going to say the name, the McVeigh family, and that's enough to get emotional about too. Bernard, Howard, Patty, Pam, Bill, Leroy, and Jean Ann McVeigh. They were a family. My mom babysat them, and their mom babysat me. And so we children, I'm going to make sure I got Pam and Patty and Bill and Howard and Bernard. And so we're like brothers and sisters, although their tan is not as good as mine. If they're tuning in, I'm not sure if they would be, but they'll see this. And I love them dearly. So we grew up together. And just the kindness of people, I was able to go to St. Luke's. And to this day, I reconnected with some of my classmates, and there's a lot of love. So again, my life, you guys, darkness of 1990s. But before that, I was a child, and I never got in trouble. I was me. I was a good heart, a good kid, no trouble. Don't even ask me how I found my way into doing silly things. But and don't get me wrong, I not crime after crime. I have one misdemeanor in my life. Not that that's an excuse, but still embarrassing. But yeah, and so she asked also, when are you going to complete your PhD? So I embarked on my studies for a PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I've completed, I believe, all of my psychology courses at the doctoral level. I think all of them. And some of my, my statistics courses and my research methodology course. I getting close, sabbatical. I had to leave by choice because I'm running for office, and there's that. So I hope I answered that question, and we'll do a couple more, and then I want to go back to the sheet. But I appreciate this because this gives you guys an opportunity to learn about me, and honey, jump in anytime. This is also a little bit of family time. I'm done crying, I think. And someone said, and Teresa, thank you. Recovery comes in different ways, and it does. And again, this is just being human. It's being human. And I was talking to my campaign manager, who's like another brother, another great man, not me, but him, who I've met in my journey. And not just Russ, but my whole campaign team and those who served on my team before. Amazing people, family. Many of them, Ann knows exactly who they are and who I'm talking about, and ladies. So so many good people in my life, our life, who've been on this journey with us. But you know what? What do they say? We learn from our mistakes, and so our stumbles and falls help us to learn, help us to understand what others could go through in their journey. And the whole idea, I think, and I explained this to Jim, and I'm pretty sure he understood, is to do better. The whole idea is to try to do better and then to do better. And that's what I've done with my life. And so what people would say, well, finance, well, we're blessed. We're good. We're financially independent. Our credit is perfect. And I say that it's perfect. We have no judgments, no late payments, no nothing. It's 818 Beacon score. I did a little thing in the last podcast because someone wanted to throw it up on the screen. And by the way, I don't hide from my past ever. You challenge me on it, I'll speak truth to it, and then you can look it up like Jim did and others will. But be careful of people who put out lies or lies by omission. Please just be careful. Again, it's sad, but they'll do that. And then ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why now? Why 30-something years later are they going back to focus on 6 or 7 years of irresponsibility and then put out these half-truths, and then something's factually accurate, and I own it. But why would you do that to a person? I mean, we could argue it would be wrong of me to do it to anybody else. It's cyberbullying and everything else. We're seeing it, which again, why my supporters should not do it to other people, and neither should they do it to anyone. So, yeah. Okay, jump in, honey, if you want. And Haley says, you're my spirit animal. She is sweet. Bill, thank you, brother. Tell Susie hi. Terry, thank you, sweetie. Donald, let me see, Mr. Bird, are you Washington State? Yes, brother, thank you. We're going to do it together. What is your position on home fuels and appliances? So gas ban. So, and this is from Boomers, and I like that. Boomers got a boom. That's kind of cool. Well, that's very cool, to be honest with you. No, natural gas burns clean. And it's the backup. So especially on the west side. So this isn't a true ban, but it's leading up to it. With the law that was just passed, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, they brought this forward. And this is this journey of this governor and this administration. And we know that Bob Ferguson's going to continue down this road because he has stated as much over the years as he's been in the office of Attorney General. That's why Jay Inslee handed the baton to Bob to carry on the mantle, to carry on his policies. Their ideology of climate change and to move us completely away from anything other than anything that's carbon producing, emitting, to all electric. Again, natural gas burns clean. It's not a problem. And when you have the problems with the electrical grid as we had, it's not capable of sustaining the current need, let alone taking natural gas off. Because Seattle, all of you who have Pacific, PSE, Puget Sound Energy, because you receive those text messages, if you're using your electricity, please lower it down. Don't use as much. Well, the alternative to that, and those who are on PSE, they had natural gas fireplaces that they can use to heat their home. It's a beautiful alternative. It's clean. So no, I don't support it, and I plan on working to do away with it. Now, that's going to require legislation. It cannot be done by a referendum, but it can be done by an initiative because they put an emergency clause in this, which takes referendum off the plate, but not initiative. If I'm wrong on this, someone jump in and correct me, but I don't believe I am. So there's my stance on it. By the way, I support nuclear energy, small modular nuclear reactor. And surprisingly, so does the other administration. So I'll give them credit for at least acknowledging that. It's brilliant. But again, common sense is you can't drive a car without tires. So let's fix our electrical grid. That's our substation, our transformers. We need to bring it up to speed because it's not capable now, let alone bringing more. But energy independence is where I'm going for. So thank you for that. And let's see here. I'm going to do one more. I know I said this, and then I'm going to go back to here. Okay. And I'm looking at time, and honey, please just jump in or just give me a tap. I went to Semi's website to volunteer, and let me see here. Something about signing NDA is required. No, it's not. So if there's something on an NDA, so a non-disclosure agreement was there for senior staff, and that is standard in campaigning. We don't have consultants, and even with campaigns that have consultants, they do NDAs. It's standard. But so J.B. Perkins, never heard of that, and I volunteer for other candidates. So please, if you sincerely want to volunteer, reach out to me personally, semi@birdforgovernor.com, and yeah, we need you. And I apologize for that mix-up. So no, there's so many things you can do. And again, one more time, I apologize for that. That is only there for senior staff, and that was something that we all do, non-disclosure agreements. And so the fact that you had never heard of it, I can't speak to that, but all campaigns, my understanding, have that at the senior level. So there's my answer to that. You're welcome. And again, my apologies. That doesn't apply to volunteers who are out there, flag waving, distributing signs, helping installing signs. We need you. We need everybody in this. This is truly that campaign. We're the I'll be nice. We're the non-consultancy campaign, although in our phase 3 plus, we're going to be bringing in someone, an expert to take us to the next level. We have different phases. We have a strategic plan. This is part of our strategy. Not that we're incapable, not that the team's incapable. And by the way, no one's firing anybody. No one's fired anybody. Half truth. No, this is the next level. So you continue to grow. This is all planned out. Okay. So Lance is next. Were you with qualified immunity and civil asset forfeiture? Good questions. So it depends on what you're referring to. No, I'm not going to double talk or equivocate because someone has been just trying to slay me with the whole red flag laws. And again, I try to explain and ask for just give deeper than red flag because there's no such thing as a red flag law. But if you're talking about emergency risk, protection order, ERPOs, then yeah, I got you on that. And I did speak to that in my last podcast. But so qualified immunity, theoretically, it applies and usually used in 2 different applications. One is for government, and the other is for law enforcement. So it just depends. So I'm going to answer both, if it's okay, not knowing what Lance was specifically referring to. So I'm going to give you both. In terms of government, to have qualified immunity to protect the governor for doing anything irresponsible, I don't support that myself, which means if I do something irresponsible, I should be held accountable for that because I support accountability and transparency. So to give me protections, let's just say for mandates and shutting down the state. Yeah, I should be held accountable for that. I'm not trying to insinuate that I would target. No, I wouldn't. That's just not my style. Law enforcement. I believe law enforcement, when you put on a badge and a gun and you go out there and you're putting your life in the line to serve your communities, to protect and to serve, I support it. I 100% support protecting our men and women in law enforcement, and I'm going to make that very, very public and very popular, and I'm going to be very proactive and supporting our men and women in law enforcement so that they know when they go out there that their backs are covered, that the governor will support them. Now, on that note, if they abuse the civil liberties, civil rights, the protections that the Constitution allows our citizens, no, it goes the other way. You will be held accountable for your actions. It's betraying your oath of office. That's not going to happen, and I will not support that. And so, whether you say unions, no. Unions do not protect you from violating the constitutional rights of citizens. That's Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution. I will enforce that. And so that is where I stand on qualified immunity. And I hope, and I would spend more time, because you guys know me, I'll go down the rabbit hole on these things. But I want you to understand that law enforcement, people go into that, they don't do that to take away people's rights. They do that to protect them. The Constitution is written to protect the rights of citizens, not to protect government or representatives of government. It's to protect the rights of citizens and to protect citizens. And law enforcement is there to protect, right, and to serve. And I support them and I believe in them. So let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, and let's not label lynch our fine folks who are serving. Let's support them. And trust me, they will hold each other accountable, but also we will put those protections in there. We'll protect our citizens. So civil forfeiture is a law. It's an RCW in Washington State and many other states. Civil forfeiture is a law that says that if you commit a crime, depending on what the crime is, if you commit a crime, your property can be seized and forfeited. And so I have a mixed feeling on this, which is citizens make mistakes. I'm not talking misdemeanors. People make mistakes in life. At what point in time are you violating a person's constitutional rights when you are saying because you committed a crime, but now you're forfeiting everything you own? Hold them accountable for the crime that they committed. So, fine line, I would actually, Lance, and feel free to email me. I gave that out, and this podcast will be recorded later. Reach out to me. I would like to talk to you more about it because I have some thoughts on this as well. On the other side of what I just said, I don't want to say one of my favorite police departments, but I will say Enumclaw Police Department, they took down a drug dealer, and they used the funds that were seized from that drug dealer. And so, see, when you deal fentanyl, which is arguably attempted murder or murder, because fentanyl, number one killer of all men and women in this state, age 18 to 45, I support forfeiture of your assets and your funding without hesitation on that. And they use that money to buy a drone system that they're using to protect the citizens. So I support that 100%. So, but I'd like to talk to you about it because I'm always willing to listen, and I love having these discussions. I hope I'm making sense for you. So Elizabeth, do you know any illegal? Do you know? Okay. Do you know how many illegal immigrants are registered to vote in Washington State? Since they didn't, so no one does to answer that. Since they didn't prove a citizen to register, and I'll talk about that. That's motor voter. I live in Seattle and recently heard that at least 40,000 just in King County. Jury, okay, got it. This is very disheartening. Makes me feel like there's no chance anyone like you in winning a state election. So thank you for your question, Elizabeth. I'll speak to this. Motor voter. So essentially what Elizabeth is saying, the way Washington state laws are right now, when anyone goes to register to get a driver's license, they will automatically register you to vote unless you opt out. That's wrong. That needs to change. I'm writing an election integrity bill, which calls for in-person voting, paper ballots, voter ID, clean the voter rolls, do away with the ERIC system, do away with motor voter, and there's a couple other things. Again, we're supposed to have a press release out yesterday regarding a tool that we're bringing forward, which has to do with election integrity that'll validate Washington state results that we're going to bring forward. It's cutting edge. We were delayed. Our communications director is out of town, but we're going to get that out. It's going to be a game changer, but we are also putting a lot of other mechanisms in place. But once I get elected, I am bringing forth an election integrity bill that I will put out to the public before I give it to the legislature so all the citizens of Washington state can see what I'm proposing, and then they can hold our legislature accountable if they choose not to put it in effect, because all citizens want free and fair elections. And when we talk about having the political class or the wealthy elite do things to interfere with elections, it's wrong. When you have an effort to take a candidate off the ballot, whether it's bribing them to run for lieutenant governor instead of governor, offering money, checks will be written. You would think there's a law against it. I believe there's a law against it. We'll see. More to follow on that. Oh yeah. People want to play reindeer games. Well, we're gonna Santa up on this. But it's wrong. And for far too long in Washington state and other states, the money, what does it say? And I digress, but bear with me. And I want to wrap this real soon. Not this podcast, but my statement. What does it say when you have a group of people who are the political savvy, that group with their, in their little cabal, and they say, oh yeah, we got this person over here, we're going to run them for governor or senator or any other office. They are now picking and choosing, and because they can fund that person, they can put the money behind the person, and then they can convince all those senators and representatives, this is our guy, this is our girl, back them. Who is controlling elections? You, we, the people, or them, they, the political aristocracy or wealthy elite? What is right? What is wrong? I'm a constitutionalist. We, the people, that is what I say. You, we choose at the primary. That is our system. The people's vote. That is our system. That's what I support. And I call this election interference, when you use your money and then you release your hounds out there to take people out, or your brokers to buy people off. And for anyone who's jumping in participation, again, your cyberbullying, okay, fine. I mean, some people, I'm not going to be insultive. But some things just should not be legal. Some things are just wrong. And enough on that. We're going to bounce back over here, my friends. So I leave off and get my mouse going here. Again, I left off on the gentleman with the NDA. I understand you support various initiatives, but one of them will, initiatives, but one of them will defend. I support, so this is from Thomas. I support all the initiatives. So if we're talking the 6 initiatives, we have 3 that pass. I support all of them. And we have 3 more coming up to the ballot. So, we're talking about the CARES Act that needs to go away. It's going to defund it, and it's going to give people an opportunity to opt out. I believe, and I think the founders of this initiative believe that if people if given the opportunity, they're going to opt out, which is going to defund them, and the program's going to go away. The other one is capital gains tax. I don't support that. It's an income tax. It should be illegal. It is illegal in Washington State. And then the other one is don't tell me, capital gains CARES Act. Oh my goodness, honey, I had them all here just a second ago. Don't worry, they're right here. No one cheat and tell me, because I know how embarrassing is that. But I support every single one of the initial. Oh my goodness, the carbon tax, or the capital gains, which is the Climate Commitment Act. There it is. I did it. Climate Commitment Act. It's the Climate Commitment Act, which is cap and trade. How anybody could ever support that, you've got me. Be very afraid. Wrong. So I support all the initiatives. That's probably the worst of all of them. It should have been boom there, but that's okay. I got it. Team Bird. Thank you, Leslie. That's my sister from another mister. Leslie and her brother, my dear friend. Love you, sis. So here's a question. If you're elected as governor, what would you do with the current the gun law, Second Amendment, Article 1, Section 24. This is Sanchez. An example is a high capacity. Yes. Assault rifle. Okay, good. Boom. So Sanchez, you guys, I'm sorry. There's so much. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking too long, because I want to get through all of this. So our next Attorney General, who needs to be our next Attorney General, Pete Serrano, a dear friend of mine. Don't let that stop him from getting elected. So if you're a Bird hater, still vote for Pete Serrano. He's a good man. Known him and his family for years. And he's brilliant. And he truly is a constitutionalist for everyone. So we just had Silent Majority Foundation. They were very successful and getting an injunction on the unconstitutional magazine capacity ban, which, by the way, last year, Judge Benavides of the Ninth Federal Circuit ruled it as unconstitutional. It was kicked back to the Ninth Circuit from the Supreme Court, as it should have been, because it's unconstitutional. Judge Benavides said it's unconstitutional. We here in Washington State are also in the Ninth Circuit, same as California. But within, I want to say, 88 minutes, Bob Ferguson's office rushed to the Supreme Court to, again, get a stay on that injunction. That's how scared they were. So now it's back up to the Supreme Court for review. We should have an answer this week. But again, you're hearing this, and I believe the judge who supported the injunction or placed the injunction said it was unconstitutional in Washington State, was in Lewis County. It is unconstitutional, and it's not just this Lewis County judge. It's the federal judge, Judge Benavides, who agrees, and many others. It's unconstitutional. And then I'll say to you, Sanchez, this. And again, I said for Washington State, it's not just the Second Amendment, but it's Article 1, Section 24 of our Constitution, which gives us more protections than the United States Second Amendment. But in the United States Constitution, Article 6, Paragraph 2, Supremacy Clause, which says any law passed that is in contradiction with the United States Constitution is unlawful. Then if you go back down to Washington State's Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, which says the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, which bumps you back up to Articles. You get 6, Paragraph 2. Either way you cut it, the magazine capacity ban, the assault weapons ban, they're unconstitutional. You're not supposed to mess with the Second Amendment. And by the way, gun violence, it's not a matter of guns that kill people. It's people who kill people. And the American Psychological Association has stated, in their quantitative empirical studies, that it is social, economic, and behavioral health issues that lead to gun violence. And so I think common sense will tell us that. So I'm so glad you asked that question. So there's where I stand on Second Amendment. And it has nothing to do with whether I like guns or I'm a shooter or a shootist, which I am, a shootist. But it has everything to do with the Constitution. Let's see, posting upcoming events. Oh, we're working on posting events. We have an events page. I just want to make sure I'm looking for question marks, you guys, because there's so much. And if I miss you, wait a minute. Someone says my childhood buddy, who was parents were second parents. Oh, wait a minute. So my childhood buddy, whose parents were second parents to me, went to St. Luke's after both sets of parents moved away from to Beacon Hill. Oh, yes. Right on, Roberta. Right on. Yep. I love it. And hello from Ballard. MB Freedom. I love this. You guys see this love. This is what we're talking about. And even if you guys don't support me, you know what? I mean, let's just talk. Tell me what you want, what you need. Challenge me in those things in a respectful way. Someone asked, Ann, what are your hobbies?
What are my hobbies? Well, before children, it was cooking, swimming, tennis. I exercised a lot. I used to actually work at a exercise place, so I taught aerobics, water aerobics, and all sorts of things. So I was actually in really good shape at one time. Then kids and family happened.
Hey,
and life.
No, she's looking good. She's so I'm gonna say it. My wife lost a lot of weight recently. She looks great, whether she lost weight or not. She's beautiful, and but she is, and she did. She lost a lot of weight. But we used to work out together. We used to do step aerobics together before I went to Special Forces. I came back from deployment. I think I went into deployment in 2002, and then came back from deployment. And
I would bike and you would rock.
Oh yeah, she would ride the bike, and I would have like 60 pounds on my back, and I would trot behind her to get me ready. It was awesome. Here's another one. I want to see you one. Thank you. P. Burley, 19. Haven't noticed much promotion of your campaign platform. Please go to the website, birdforgovernor.com. And we have solutions with actions that we've written. Our platform is very clear. We're one of the few candidates. So keep in mind, we've been out there running for almost 2 years. And instead of just, we've had them up and out. So we've been campaigning. We've actually been on the streets. And people say, you got to get on the west side. We have been on the west side. And so just understand, don't assume, I'm not saying that you are doing that, brother. We have been out there. We have been engaging. Someone said in the newspapers, well, he's been out there campaigning, in all the Lincoln Day dinners with all the Republicans, getting ready for the convention. Yeah, we've been doing that. But while I'm in Seattle at a Lincoln Day dinner, why would I not be in the Central District like I was Sunday, at a black church meeting with black leaders in the Central District, which I have done numerous times. We went to Umoja Fest, the first candidacy ever on this side of the aisle for Republicans for governor to attend Umoja Fest, or Juneteenth. And the original Juneteenth in King County. So, no, we have receipts for actually getting out there and engaging in the West Side, King, Pierce, Snow, and in every other county with all communities, right? All nationalities. And to the chagrin of those who would weaponize the fact that I lectured on diversity and inclusion, but not equity, not the DEI. They tried to do that. Again, the misrepresentation, the lies by omission, simply to value that as Americans, we are all those different cultures. We value them, and then together as Americans, we are all one culture, the American culture. But we respect the contributions of all cultures, and because we do that, and generations, right? And because we do that, we have these shared innovations because everybody brings different perspectives, and we learn from one another. It's behavioral science, and it's actually science. McKinley study, look it up. I've heard you aren't taking from big donors. Is that true? And if so, why? Okay, that is a good question. So here's the deal. Not true. So this is Strategy. I'm just going to say it. Ann knows, and so let me just tell all. We do have big donors who will support us. There it is, the confessions. We have started to through other things, and I'm not going to get into detail. All very legal. Strategy. If we came out with $1.5 million, $2 million like that, that would put us up and on the radar. Let's just pretend someone knows who Sun Tzu is and just Google it. You'll love it. I'm a student, have been Art of War for a long time. I teach. I used to teach strategy. Anyway, do you see the vulnerability when you are high on the radar? When you're high on the ridge, you create that silhouette, that's little sniper talk. You become a target. We were able to get donations from everyone, and sometimes we had some max donations. We needed just enough to get us to this point, phase 1, which is the convention. So we're doing this strategically. The convention is this week, within a couple days. Right after the convention, we are going to start engaging our big donors. And so we're going to go into a new phase. So share this. You're going to see more money coming to the campaign. It's not that we got bought out, because trust me, they tried, but that wasn't as governor, it was that lieutenant governor. And I said no. And then that's when they started attacking it. And they were at least honest about it first round. They told everybody, save your reputation, or you get it. Some of you saw that letter. So that's why. I'm glad you asked that. That is why. Money will come in when we need it. The primary is in August. And let me bring another clarification of people who like to do half-truths and spin. Please educate yourself. The Public Disclosure Commission, if you go back to, what is this, sweeter? It's April. Mm-hmm. If you go to April of 2020, this is when Loren Culp was running. So Loren Culp, Josh Freed. Josh Freed was the chosen one of the establishment, and I mean no harm to them by saying establishment. The big money, the party elite, the people who, the consultancy class, that was the chosen person. Loren Culp came up as the grassroots person, representing Constitution, Americana. Loren had X amount of dollars. Freed had a lot more, like quadruple. Loren beat him by 9 points. We have doubled what Loren has raised at this point in Loren's campaign. So if you go to April of 2020, you look at April of 2024 now, that's where we're at. Loren's money came in June and July, smartly right before the primary. But we're even ahead of that, if that makes sense, because people are using different terms. Well, Simi's been running for 600 years, and so you see what I'm saying? Because I started early, and I started early so I can get out there and get to know people and to get into different communities. That I started early. But if you look at campaign season, we're now in campaign season. I hope that makes sense. So they're using the fact that I started earlier than Loren, and because I started running longer, they're saying, well, he's been running for 18 months and has only raised 400 and something thousand. In 18 months, Loren raised $3 million. Well, if Loren started in January, 18 months is way past the. You guys get what I'm saying. It's simple math, but it's spin, which again lies by omission. Local transit. So your initiatives, when you're talking about defund local transit agencies, and free youth transit pass, which is helping youth. Oh, I got you. So Tom, so you're going back on the initial. So this is what those who are against. So this is the climate change. I got you. This is the carbon care. This is the cap and trade, and that's what they're saying. So the money that was raised, and Tom, this is directly. The money, the Climate Commitment Act, the money that they're saying that they're using that money for, it's for this. They've raised almost, $2 billion from the Climate Commitment Act. And the last time we checked, the accountability of those funds that came in, have you seen the money go to transit or anything else? It was very well known that they had not appropriated the funds yet. This is just what they're saying in opposition of the initiative. They're probably going to say it's going to kill puppies too. And I know I'm being silly, and I'm not trying to push the initiative for anything else. I support our youth. I support getting our youth to schools. I support our environment. But we're not going to spin the facts just to. And so, Tom, I'm not against what you're saying, but what I am saying is what they're saying is factually inaccurate because they haven't even appropriated the funds yet. So this is what they're saying to be in opposition of the repeal of that Climate Commitment Act, which has raised gasoline prices and diesel prices. And the same act that's taken away, it's trying to take away a lot of other things that cost citizens a lot more money. Housing is being affected by that greatly. The cost of affordable housing. It's not good. And I would love to go, again, more in detail. So, Tom, don't give up on me and keep your questions coming because maybe I can learn from you, right? And vice versa. So I like that. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on. And that wasn't a challenge. I was very respectful, and I'm gonna look deeper into that, and I give you my word on that. So I'm gonna look into it. But I have read what you just typed because that's exactly what they said, and I'll keep looking. But I did. They're saying all of those things, and it's factually inaccurate. They just haven't gotten there yet. I didn't know it was possible. Oh, thank you, T. You are amazing. Again, my sister from another mister. Gosh, I just want to so much, you guys. Okay, guys, take a pause. I'm gonna bounce over here. Honey, I know we're running out of time, you guys.
We're almost there.
And as long as you guys are okay, I'm just gonna go just a couple more minutes over, maybe a few. I love this. This is our time together. Personally, I think you're on the top of the Republican as governor, but I'm concerned that Ferguson could sweep the floor with you. Okay, this is good. And that Reichert is more electable. What is the plan to beat Ferguson? Oh, boy, I like this. Thank you. And what a good question to bounce over. Jeff, thank you for that. Oh, my goodness. Ferguson sweeping the floor with me. So let's just go there. You guys ready for this? Strap in. So first they're saying that 6 years of darkness, I'm going to call it that. I'm going to have to nickname it. And again, I shouldn't make fun of it because someone's going to spin that too. I mean, irresponsible of me. I take full accountability of what I did 30-something years ago. Okay. I talked to you about the state representative, again, who served time in jail or prison and convicted felon. Again, not weaponizing anything against her. And I already said, I respect her greatly, and she's a role model for what right looks like, really. I mean, outside of her politics, and I'm not analyzing all of her politics because there's things I don't agree with, but I'm sure there's some commonality. But she as a person and what she accomplished, admirable. What is Bob going to do? I mean, look at Bob's laws. Crime's up rape is up 51%. Property crime's up 73%. Murder's up 95%. We have a fentanyl crisis. Look at homelessness. CHOP, Chaz. Look at the assault weapons ban. Look at the MAC capacity ban. Second Amendment rights being taken away, but yet CHOP and Chaz, you unload M16 out of the back of a Prius. Bob Ferguson owns all of that. The Kia Boys, right? Just bedlam. Where's the youth accountability? Youth crime. Where's that? I'm bringing a youth crime bill to our legislature when I get elected. What's our attorney general? The chief law enforcement officer of Washington State. Where's Bob on that? And now he comes out with a law and order plan, and then the other gentleman responds to that. But Semi Bird has had a law and order plan out for over a year. You see what happens when you have name brand, 5 million, 2 million, and you have the cabal and the... Don't fall for the hype in the media. Who will debate who? Why have... I'm non-viable. I'm not afraid to debate anybody. Debates are not for me. Debates benefit me. Debates are for you. Debates are for the citizens so that you can make an educated vote, so that you know the platforms and positions and you can see who can stand on their platforms, positions, and policies against other candidates. Because what is wiping the floor? Money? Does money make a floor wipe? Right? This person raises $2 million or $5 million. That's a floor wiping opportunity right there because we can be bought and sold as a state. My vote can be bought and sold. My belief in America can be bought and sold. The Constitution can be bought and sold because they raise more money. So we're going to go with that. We're not going to care whether they support the constitutional rights of citizens. We're not going to care that they even know how to spell the Constitution and what the Constitution stands for. But if they have enough money, they got that name brand recognition, they got $5.4 million. Or, do you understand what's wrong with what I'm saying? I'm not spinning. This is common sense. Someone jump in and overhear somebody who's wiping the floor with anybody. And again, I'm not taking that personal at all. It gives me an opportunity to bring clarity to what some people will think and buy into the hype that money defines who a candidate is. But at the end of the day, votes. That's just like saying this person can win King County. Well, then why in the heck do I have 62% of the delegates? Why are people all of a sudden worried about the convention? How is that? How did they try to, on social media, paint me as this? Well, actually, the faith leader of the Republican Party referred to me as the Leviathan, as the devil. That is the faith leader. That's a whole new level of Christianity that I'm unaware of because I've been walking in the light for a long time. Granted, a handful of years, I did some really dumb stuff. I mean, and again, don't let that get away because I did pass that background investigation for the Washington State Republican Party. Oh, and not to mention, whatever they come up with. How about the United States federal government? I held a top secret SCI clearance. This is after the fact with reinvestigations. Look it up, top secret. It's sensitive, compartmented information. And then a Q SCI clearance. And then a credentialed federal officer with the National Nuclear Security Administration. There are facts out there. So what does it constitute? What's wiping with what? Can you see me debating Bob Ferguson and then look at the other candidate debating Bob Ferguson? I'm unafraid to debate someone, nor would I ever walk out in a forum or walk out in a debate. I have not avoided debating anyone anywhere, and I've already been in two. So I'm just saying, who would you want to represent you? I guess it depends. If money is important, then you want the other person. If you support cap and trade, it's the other person. If you support the mandates and the lockdowns, it's the other person. It's not me. If you support someone who represents the citizens of Washington State, all citizens, regardless of race, creed, color, or religion, that's me. If you want someone to support the teachers union, well, there's Bob. To support the elite, liberal progressives, there's Bob. If you want someone who supports the big money, the Republican establishment, that's not Simi. So you have a choice. Who can be bought? Not me. How about you? There's the question. I know I'm going over, but you guys got me excited. Oh, what did I see? No, guys, I family members have tuned in here. And if I miss you, I love you and I'm sorry. And you guys, I just wish I had more time. Man, I'm going to go to the bottom because I'm missing a lot, you guys, and I'm so sorry. I just wish I had more time. So again, on the money thing, you guys, I know we're all the way to the bottom. Let me just say this. Somebody just said, morals over millions of dollars. Just know this, you guys. I'm smart enough. I taught strategy. I worked in special forces intelligence, international intelligence, counterterrorism. If you want the receipts, I'll put the certificates. I think I'm going to bring them to we're going to bring a booklet. It'll have my medals. It'll be signed by generals, and it'll have order numbers to prove it. I'll bring my certificates. I'll bring whatever you guys want. Just send me some emails of what you would like validation on. I'll bring it. Because if you need proof or stuff, I'll bring it just to test what my resume is. What do you want to know? I'll bring it. Or just ask me. But don't assume. We are smart enough to know it's going to take money. The money is there. It's about to be released. We are smart enough to know that we're going to go into this with enough money to win this. It is not money that wins. It's the candidate and the strategy. And I pray you guys can see this. Oh my goodness. We the people need to educate ourselves and stop. We need to be we the people, not we the sheeple. The only way to maintain a constitutional republic is for us, we the people, to self-govern, to step forward. We need to know what we need to know, to do what we need to do to protect our republic, to protect our rights as citizens, to be active, to be engaged. That goes back up to what Bob had asked about PCOs. We need people to step forward, and we need to educate ourselves to know the difference between hype and smoke and mirrors, that when you go out there and you start just slandering and vilifying, but yet even the Seattle Times can figure out just from this date to this date over 30-something years ago, what I was or did back in the 90s does not define who I am in the 21st century. Can you, as a sentient being, understand that and figure that out? A human being with human decency and this much civility, do we do that to one another? But if you're a bully, if you're a cyber bully, and you have one agenda to assassinate, regardless of family, a person's children, and then you call it politics, I say shame on you. And then shame on me if I do the same thing. And then for my supporters, I hold you accountable as well to the same standard. And hear me again. I am saying, no, we do not engage this way. I'm saying it again. I say it every podcast, but people forget this. And they go out. If you want to call someone a rhino, please articulate what you're talking about. Not just Republican in name only. Why do you have a problem with the other gentleman? You want to talk about the voting record? Talk about the voting record. Educate people. Don't call names. Don't show a bunch of memes and show that you're just as bad as the other person. Articulate why this person is not the best candidate for you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we should be doing. Don't mirror because it doesn't reflect me. But stand up. Fight back. Okay. We're going to go. But I want you to know we're going to go to this convention. We're going to go to this convention. I'm going to bring up our website so everybody knows where to go. We're going to go to the convention. It's going to be in a couple of days. My bride's going to be there. My daughter will probably, she's going to join us. Usually we keep her with us wherever we go. She is 16 now, but still. My other two angels, again, they're doing their thing, and we chat every day. But it looks like it's looking good for our campaign. And that's not because of me. It's because of we. It's because so many people that have tuned in here, so many people are out there fighting for what we are fighting for. Us. Us. Everyday working class citizens who want to make a better life for each other, who believe that we are overtaxed, ridiculously overtaxed, because the government spends money irresponsibly with zero accountability and zero transparency. So we're going to fix that. And I have a resume to do that. That's why people believe in what we're running on, that we're bringing civility and human decency, that we're representing everyone, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, that we're going old school. And it is not about Republican or Democrat, because it's the Republicans who have been lynching me in the streets, not the Democrats. And they're saying, oh, the Democrats haven't even gotten you. What are they going to do worse than the Republicans have done to me? No, we're going to this convention, and we're going to win the convention. And here's the most important part of what I can talk about today, other than my love. The most important thing about this convention is, besides us and fellowship and coming together and hugging, there's going to be a lot of hugs. Take your vitamin C because I'm coming at you. Besides that, unity. Be prepared. If the Republican Party does what I think they're going to do, and I think they're going to honor their word. I think they're going to be gracious. They're going to do all the right things. And we're going to have a great convention, and they're going to abide by the rules. And then we're going to leave this convention regardless of what happens. And we're going to be focused specifically on uniting, coming together, coming together, focused on the primary, winning the primary and winning the general. Counter to that last question is, Bob Ferguson is going to be easy. And it's not being cocky, and it's not belittling him. With respect to the office, how he has performed his duties as Attorney General has resulted in lost lives of our citizens, a state of lawlessness and homelessness and beyond. I could spend an hour on that. That is what he is running on, and more of the same, and then a repeat of what Jay Inslee has done to our state. And again, I'm not disrespecting Governor Inslee either. I don't operate that way. It's the record. It's the facts. We need change. We need a new way. We need to bring that light back. We need the Emerald City back. We need clean streets. We need thriving businesses. We need great paying jobs. We need to be the innovation center. I can go on and on. We're bringing solutions, but we need to unite to make it happen. So don't let partisanship get in the way. Don't let the ugliness consume you, because we're not going to. We had our time of sadness because of that first spur of hate that was perpetuated against us. Because, as Ann said, and you heard her voice, this has been harder than war for my wife. And again, she did not know. Her husband went to war, knowing I was in a Special Forces A team, going into a firefight almost every night. But she felt more safe. She knew her husband was more safe over there than I am here in Washington State with these mainstream Republicans, these big money donors who are funding the hate, while these leaders, these party leaders, are staying silent and doing nothing and saying nothing. But the other party leaders are perpetuating and lighting fires themselves, saying that the delegates in this convention is worthless. And if you don't vote the way they don't want, they're going to light it up. And then all these things. No, we got to bring the light. We have to bring the love. We need to bring the unity. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to end it right now. Go to birdforgovernor.com. Speaking of donations, and give what you can. But more importantly, why have we been winning? It's because we focused on people, not money. That's why. But we were doing the other. But we focused on people. And it's the people that is the power in Washington State and every state and in this nation, which is why Article 1, Section 1, powers inherent in the people. Government derives its just powers from the consent of the government that govern. And it is government's job to protect and to maintain the individual rights of citizens. We're bringing the Constitution back. God bless you. God bless Washington State. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you at the convention. Delegates, get fired up.